So good morning. Welcome to our Hatha practice. Today we are going to start lying down, so supine, and in an effort to open up through the chest and the shoulders in a really supported way at the very beginning here, lying on that rolled up blanket or cushion. The rolled up blanket is quite helpful because you could actually choose, several heights in that rolling. And so obviously the higher that blanket is, the more opening you'll get. But we always want to make sure that as we settle back onto our cushion or blanket, and we bring our arms out to the side, that the backs of our hands can touch the floor. So if you find you're so high that the arms are just hanging in space, you'll definitely want to lower the level of that blanket or cushion. And then once you've positioned yourself on it, so maybe tailbone to back of the head or bottom of the rib cage to back of the head is fine. And extend the legs out. There go my blocks. And settle into that. So it might take a moment to just get comfortable. And then as you arrive here, closing the eyes. And then closing the mouth. Breathing through the nose only. Taking these first few moments to really just find a little bit of quiet to arrive on the mat. So this time that we exhaust the senses is a way for us to begin that journey inward. With the eyes closed and the mouth closed, now listening as far as your ears can hear. And in all directions. Be the witness to each sound, moving from sound to sound. And as you move from sound to sound, making your way in closer and closer to your mat. Arriving at the sound of your own breath. And being the witness to the sound of the inhalation and the sound of the exhalation. And now awareness to the temperature of the air on your skin, places where your clothing contacts your skin. And then all the contact points between your body and the earth. So contact points between your body and the mat, contact points between your rolled up blanket or cushion and the body. Take a moment to notice if there are any smells where you are and experience them, and then let them go. And then awareness to that space behind the closed eyes, Chitta Kasha. A really profound place to arrive at your intention for your practice today. Take a moment to consider that intention, find a word or a few words to describe it, and then repeat them to yourself mentally 3 times. Consider this intention as a seed that you have planted in mind and body, and which the practice will nourish. Now bring your awareness back to the breath and follow the inhalation, follow the exhalation. Then link movement to the breath by inhaling and bringing the arms to cactus pose. Elbows bent at 90 degrees. And if, again, your hands end up hanging in space here, straighten out the elbows just until you reach that point where the backs of the hands have a place to rest on the floor. Bring your awareness to the chest and be the witness to anything that you're feeling there, having made that change in the arm position. And then again, linking breath to movement. As you inhale, slide the arms up a few inches, keeping them connected to the floor. And then exhale, slide them back down to that start position of cactus pose or your variation of cactus pose. Let's do that 2 more times. Inhale, arms slide up the floor, fully supported by the floor. And then exhale, return them to that start position. 1 more time. And then coming back to that start position. And now let's bend the knees, bring the soles of the feet to the mat. And then walk the feet away from each other to the outside edges of your mat and let the knees come together. Inhale to move those knees away from each other. And then exhale to bring them back together. 2 more times. Inhale, move them away. You may notice you don't have the range of motion as when your feet are together. Exhale back together. 1 more time. Just noticing what you're feeling in the hips, and then knees come back together. Walk the feet together. And then rolling to one side, doesn't matter which side, off of that rolled up blanket or cushion, and press yourself up to a seated position on that rolled up blanket or cushion. Easy pose, Sukhasana. Let's all work with the same leg today. So let's all start with that right leg being farther away from the body and the left leg in closer. Palms down on the thighs for grounding. Inhale, press the palms into the thighs, lift through the crown of the head. Keep that energy in the hands. Exhale, turn the whole of the head to the right. Inhale back to center. Exhale, whole of the head to the left. Inhale back to center. And now with that left hand, reaching for the outside edge of that right foot and bringing the right hand in behind that thigh, hug that leg, that bent leg in nice and tall. So the leg stays bent, but your spine is tall. Making sure that that upper leg is staying steady, use your left hand to move that right foot just up and down. So that upper leg is staying completely steady and you're just slowly moving that lower leg up and down. Closing the eyes might feel good here to just really tap into what's going on in the back of the hip as you do this. 1 more time, up and down. And then come back to your starting point. Let's experiment with maybe going a little bit deeper here. So taking that left arm so that the foot goes right into the elbow, and then that right arm comes around behind, interlace the fingers. If this interlacing of the fingers is not accessible, just take the hands wider away, but just go for a little deeper stretch here, pulling in and lifting up through the spine. And then this time, rock from side to side with that leg. Everything else in the body is staying still. Pelvis is still. Sit bones are grounded into your cushion or rolled up blanket. Just moving that leg in that hip socket. Couple more times. Remember, you could be at interlaced fingers here if you want. And then finding that stillness at the center and releasing back down. Bring the hands in front of you. Inhale, reach the rib cage forward as if you're finding cow in the upper body. And then exhale, slide forward as far as you can go. Inhale, come back up again. Let's do that 2 more times. Exhale, sliding forward. Inhale, coming back up. A brief appearance by Max there. Maybe he'll come back. And then coming up. Nice. And now let's switch up the positioning of the legs. So now everybody has that left leg farther away from the body. The right leg is in closer. Palms of the hands to the thighs. Press into the thighs to lengthen up through the spine, crown of the head reaching to the ceiling. Take a nice inhale here. Exhale, turn the whole of the head to the left. Inhale back to center. Exhale, whole of the head to the right. Inhale back to center. And now with that right hand reaching for the outside edge of the left foot and the left hand coming in behind the thigh, hug in nice and tall. Yeah, just find that nice tall spine hugging in. And then with that left hand, really keeping that upper leg steady, and with the right hand, moving that lower leg up and down. Focus on steadiness in the whole body except for the leg, well, and the arm moving the leg too. Maybe close the eyes, really tap into what's going on in the back of the hip area here. One more time. Coming back to the start position. Now experimenting with going even deeper. So you might want to move that left hand and just hold above the ankle for a moment as you bring that foot into the, just that little elbow bend there. And then that left arm comes around and you could just hold the leg, or you could interlace the fingers, maybe interlace the fingers the awkward way if that's accessible to you, and then hug in so the body is really tall. Just stay with that. Again, maybe close the eyes and just feel where you've gone with this. Deeper stretch now. And then let's add a little movement here. So the whole body is steady except for rocking that leg. It's called rock the baby. Or let's put it this way. Some people call it rock the baby. Yeah, that feels good. So visualize your sit bones. They are really rooted down into your cushion, your rolled up blanket. It's just that leg moving in the hip socket there. Yeah, one more time. And then coming back to stillness and center, and release that leg down. Think nice and tall. Bring the hands to the floor in front of you. Follow the breath. Exhale, slide forward. Excuse me, Max. Thank you. Inhale, come up. Let's do that 2 more times. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, coming up. And one more time. And all the way up. Let's go into those hips in another way now. So bring the soles of the feet together. Baddha Konasana, hands to the shins, just above the ankles. Pull the heels toward the body. Use the forearms to press open those inner thighs. And at the same time, visualize the spine lengthening, crown of the head reaching toward the ceiling. Stay with that again. Maybe close the eyes and just notice what's happening in the body. Inhale, reach the rib cage forward, maybe an inch. And then stay steady for the exhale. And then next inhale, see if you can move that rib cage another inch forward. Stay in place for the exhale. One more time, inhale, another inch forward. Stay in place for the exhale. And then inhale, coming all the way up. Nice. Bring the knees together. Hug around those shins. Beautiful. Release the left arm to the space behind your back and just twist in that direction to your left. Inhale, come back to center. Left arm stays wrapped around. Right arm comes around, hand behind the back, twisting to your right. Trying to release the shoulder away from the ear as you do that. Easy twist. Coming back to center. And now bring the hands to the floor. Press yourself forward into that low crouch, and let's make our way up to the top of the mat. So moving that rolled up blanket or cushion out of the way. Blocks will be handy to have up there, and your strap if it's not already in place. Let's start from this low crouch position. Reach the rib cage forward, relax through the shoulders, crown of the head reaching up toward the ceiling. Take one more inhale here. And then exhale, lift the sit bones up toward the ceiling and fold over the legs. Your legs can be as bent as you need to have your hands on the mat. Release the head. And then try to straighten the legs out completely without locking the legs. So the hands may very well have to come up to the shins, or you could bring them to blocks, even if you need to come up to the thighs. So your body, your direction, okay? But we're going for those straight legs. If by chance you have to get your legs straight, you have your body parallel to the earth, reach the crown of the head out to the space in front of you. If you feel that you're folded over and it feels comfortable, relax the head. Now let's work on those straight legs even more. So inhale, straighten the legs out a tiny bit more. Exhale, navel to the spine. See if you can fold a bit more. Stay here. Inhale, lift all 10 toes and spread them really wide. And then exhale to release down. Visualize the base of the big toes pressing into the mat. The feet are super glued to the mat, dragging away from each other. Keep that energy of scrubbing away from each other as you inhale and circle the arms up overhead. Palms touch, gaze up at those palms. And then exhale, bring the palms down to the heart center and follow the hands with your gaze. Right down, chin tucks toward the chest, just briefly. And then inhale, bring that head up to neutral. Nice. Let's do that again. Inhale, circle the arms up. Palms touch. Gaze up at the palms. Exhale, keep your gaze on the hands as they slowly come down to the heart center. Chin tucks toward the chest, just to keep your eye on the hands. And then inhale back up to a neutral position. Exhale, release the arms down by the side. Inhale, lift all 10 toes and spread them wide. Exhale, release them down. Inhale, lift up on the balls of the feet, so heels lift up. And exhale to lower down. Inhale, circle the arms up overhead, palms touch. Exhale, follow the hands with the gaze as they come down in front of the body. And then keep folding over halfway, hands separate and come to the thighs. Inhale, find cow in the upper body. Keep cow in the upper body as you exhale and bend the knees and hips more into an Uttanasana chair pose here. Nice. So you've got cow in the upper body. Tailbone is shooting back. Bring the hands to the heart center. Keep reaching the rib cage toward the thumbs, or sternum toward the thumbs might be a better visualization. And then laying that left arm over those thighs, twisting to your right. Stay here. Tap into what's going on with your hips. Send them back out over the mat and maybe check in on the knees. They want to stay parallel to each other. If the left knee is popping ahead, pull that left hip back. Inhale to unwind back to that chair pose. And then exhale, come all the way up to standing and release the arms down by the side. Again, Tadasana, palms facing forward. Let's do that again. Inhale, circle the arms up, palms touch. Gaze at those hands as they come down in front of you. And then as they get to about your face or neck, start to fold over, hands separate, come to the thighs. Inhale, find cow in the upper body. And then exhale, bend the hips and knees even more deeply, finding a chair pose. Inhale, bring the hands to the heart center. Exhale, right forearm lays on those thighs and twisting to your left this time. Stay here for a few breaths, really visualizing shooting the tailbone, hips out to that space behind you, checking in that the knees are staying parallel to each other, using your hand to pull on the thigh to get you into that twist. Nice. Inhale to unwind, come back to that chair pose, hands at the heart center. Exhale, coming all the way up and release the arms down. Beautiful. Inhale, circle up again, palms touch. Exhale, slide the hands in front of the body and then start to fold over. Again, separate the hands, they're coming to the thighs. Inhale, find cow in the upper body. Exhale, bend the knees into chair pose. Keep the hands on the thighs. And then from here, bring the hands down to your blocks. Step way back with your right leg into a lunge. Knee is lifted at the back there. Reach the rib cage forward. Slowly lower that knee down to the mat. Untuck the toes and actively push on those blocks. So it's like you're pushing your rib cage away from that front thigh. Beautiful. And now let's set up for an interesting Ardha Hanumanasana here. So your strap is handy. Take your strap And place the middle of the strap underneath that front left foot there. And then take the straps to either hands and the hands to the blocks. So a little complicated, but I think we've got it. We've got both hands around the straps and on the blocks. And our left foot is standing on the middle of that strap. Now, let's straighten out that front leg and walk the blocks back so that they come to about underneath the hips. Let the strap slide through. Might be just a little awkward. You could even move the blocks back and then kind of grab your straps again. So we're coming to this Ardha Hanumanasana position. Hands on the blocks and having the straps handy. That front leg is straight. The base of that big toe is pressing toward the earth, and then reach the rib cage forward. Bring a bracing to the abdominals. And then release the hands from the blocks and just hold the straps and pull on that strap to reach the rib cage forward. Nice. Stay here. 3 full breaths. Very active with your hands and arms on that strap, pulling the rib cage forward, and that helps to keep you stable. If for any reason this is not comfortable, just put the hands back on the blocks and use the blocks only, not the strap. Stay here for 3 more breaths. Really visualize pulling the rib cage forward, sending the hip back and base of the big toe down toward the mat. Yeah, 1 more full deep breath. And then release the hands to the blocks, walking the blocks forward, bending that front knee as you go. Keep your hands on the blocks, reach the rib cage forward, tuck the back toes, so the right toes, lift that knee up. Nice. Keep your left hand on the block, keep the right knee lifted, twist and open to the left, right here. Stay in that twist, very active, pushing that right heel back in space. Hand is solidly on that left block. Gaze up at the thumb if that feels good, or turn your head to a more neutral position, reach the crown of the head away from the tailbone. 1 more inhale here. Exhale, release that right hand back down to the block. Inhale, reach the rib cage forward. And then exhale, stepping into Ardha Uttanasana, so the half lift. And you can step on that strap if you like, so that you're ready. Leave the strap where it is. Exhale, fold over the legs. Imagine the feet are super glued and scrubbing away from each other. Inhale, circle all the way up, palms touch. And exhale, hands to the heart center. Nice. Let's do that again, other leg. So inhale, circle up. Gaze up at the palms. Exhale, slide the hands in front of the body, and then eventually folding over, separating the hands, they come to the thighs. Inhale, find cow in the upper body. Exhale, bend the knees and the hips, sitting into Uttanasana, chair pose. And then this time, inhale, hands to the blocks and strap again. Step way back with the left leg this time. Keep that back knee lifted for a moment and reach the rib cage forward, just settling into that opening of the front of the left hip. Stay with the breath. Keep pushing that heel back. You'll notice such a difference when you push that heel back and energize the leg up toward the ceiling. It feels so good. And then slowly releasing that knee down to the mat. Untuck the toes. Use your hands on the blocks to push, to move the rib cage away from that front right thigh. Yeah. Just get a little more back bend there, which is very nice for the chest to open up just a little bit more. And now we'll do the same thing on the other, as we did on the other side, moving into this variation on Ardha Hanumanasana. So walking the blocks back with the strap as you straighten out that front leg. Take your time with this to set yourself up. The blocks are coming ideally underneath the shoulders. And as you land in this Ardha Hanumanasana, which is that front leg extended, the back leg bent, and you're balancing on it, reaching the rib cage forward. And now, if you want to, we can go deeper into this by using this strap, brace through the abdominals, and lift the strap up and pull on that strap to help bring your rib cage farther forward. Yeah, so this is a bit more of a balancing act, which does challenge the abdominals a bit. But if you would rather stay with your hands on the blocks, by all means, whether you have the strap or you have the hands on the blocks, visualize the base of that right big toe reaching toward the floor, the right hip pressing back, and the rib cage pulling forward. That's where the strap comes in handy, is to help you pull the rib cage forward. Stay here for 4 more breaths. Does that sound good? Yeah, we like to try and stay balanced each side if we can. And sometimes one side actually needs longer than the other. So feel free to stay with it a bit longer if you want to. This is definitely your practice. That is one of the beauties of the video that you get afterwards, is you could stop it and just, work your way into the pose or hold it for a little bit longer. One more full deep breath. And then releasing the hands back to the strap or to the blocks. And keep that strap handy. Walking the block forward, bending that front knee as you go. Reach the rib cage forward. Tuck the back toes, lift the knee up and push that heel back. Yeah. And this time, planting that right hand on the block and twisting to the left. Stay there. Really energize that back leg. Wow, I was letting my knee cave down there. So really push through that back heel, lift up that leg, gaze at the thumb or somewhere else, but visualize the crown of the head reaching away from that tailbone. One more inhale. Exhale, return that hand back down to the block. Inhale, reach the rib cage forward. Exhale, stepping in, Ardha Uttanasana, the half lift. Exhale to fold over the legs. Feet scrubbing away from each other, navel to spine. Inhale, come all the way up. Palms touching again. Exhale, hands to the heart center. Let the thumbs touch the breastbone. Inhale, lift all 10 toes up and spread them wide. Exhale, release them down. Inhale, coming up to the balls of the feet. This actually challenges the core a little bit. And exhale to lower down. Beautiful. Inhale, circle up one more time. Exhale, fold and keep the hands in close to the body. Pull the navel to the spine. Imagine the feet scrubbing away from each other. These are all things that protect the low back. Bring the hands right down to the mat. Bend the knees as much as you need to do that. And then make your way to a tabletop position. In this tabletop position, let's engage the abdominals just a little bit more. So the knees are underneath the hips. The fingers are spread wide. Imagine that your hands are super glued to the mat and dragging back. The crown of your head is still reaching forward. And at the same time as those hands are dragging back, imagine the legs are pulling forward, but nothing is moving. Notice the contraction through the abdominals. And now release that. If you're looking at me on the screen, you'll see that you really won't see any movement, but there's a lot of energy happening. So drag hands back, legs forward, crown of the head reaching ahead, and release. And one more time, energetically dragging hands back, legs forward, and then release. Nice. Walk the hands forward. Take an inhale here. Exhale to bend the elbows and slowly lower all the way down to the mat, forehead to the mat, and arms in cactus pose. Wiggle around through the legs so the tops of the thighs and the tops of the feet feel equally connected to the mat. Keep the whole of the body resting on the mat. Inhale, lift those cactus arms only off the mat. Stay there. Imagine you're squeezing the shoulder blades together and at the same time kind of pulling the shoulders down and away from the ears. Stay there for another full breath. And then release those cactus arms back down to the mat. This time, keep the arms on the mat or on the earth. And then inhale, lift the head and the rib cage up off the mat. Yeah, stay here. Modified Sphinx pose. The hands are a bit wider than our typical Sphinx pose. Keep pressing those arms into the mat. allowing that back extension to go a little more deeply into the back bend. One more inhale. Exhale, slowly release down. This time, arms and upper body staying on the mat, legs lifting. Take an inhale, lift both legs up. Arms, torso, forehead on the mat. Stay with that, glutes squeezed, working the muscles in the back too. Opens up through the chest. We tend not to think about this, but core muscles are actually our back muscles as well. Take one more inhale here, and then exhale, release. Nice, just relax here. Maybe rock the hips from side to side. Now we've done 3 different extension, back extension movements there. We did the arms, arm lift only, the rib cage head only, and the legs only. For this next and final one, choose what you want to do, either one of those 3 or a combo of 2 or all 3. So all 3 would be head, rib cage, arms, and legs all lifted. Lift on the inhale and then stay there. Keep breathing. Maybe close the eyes. Really check in. Really feel that strength in the whole back of the body. Visualize it releasing through the front of the hips, the fronts of the shoulders, the front of the chest. Well, the chest is the front, isn't it? Stay here. Keep breathing. 2 more breaths, really strong through the whole back of your body. And then slowly release down. Again, stay connected to the earth, rock the hips from side to side. That's a nice neutralizing movement for the back after that back extension. Find stillness in the hips. Bring the arms now to a Sphinx pose, which is elbows underneath the shoulders and hands in line with the elbows. Tuck the toes in both feet. When you're ready, on an inhale, bring your hips up off the mat into a plank pose. And again, like we did in tabletop, first of all, walk the feet a little bit closer toward the elbows. And now here we do this dragging, or, in place dragging of arms dragging back, feet dragging forward. Feel the energy through the front of the body and then release. 2 more times. Drag, crown of the head reaching forward, and then release. So again, if you're looking at me on the screen right now, you'll see pretty much no movement. It's all isometric contraction, which is a contraction of the muscle without any movement. And then release all the way down. Stack the palms, let the elbows come out to the side. Let the forehead rest on those stacked palms. Untuck the toes. And again, just rock the hips, or if you'd like to, you could bend the knees and windshield wiper movement through the lower legs. And then coming back to center with those legs, lowering them down. Maybe wiggle through the hips again so the thighs have that equal connection to the mat. And then one more time, let's come back to our Sphinx pose. So Sphinx is elbows right underneath the shoulders, hands in line with the elbows. Find a comfortable gaze for the head. And then we'll return to that plank one more time. So tuck the toes. Option always, if you wanted to, bend the knees and come make it a half plank if you want to. I encourage you to experiment with a full plank, and then if you need to, if you're shaking or starting to lose your form, bend the knees and come to a half plank. See if you can stay with that for just a little bit longer. But here we go, up into the plank. Walk the feet forward just a little closer toward the elbows. Push the heels back. Let's do 3, drag and release again. So drag, release, drag, release, drag, and release. Stay here. Walk the feet a little bit closer, still pushing those heels away from you. Little hip dip right and left. So just a little dip, maybe an inch or 2 toward the mat, and then come back center, left, a little dip, and then come back center. Let's repeat that. Stay with it, stay strong. Remember, if you are losing your form, you're starting to shake, take a break, come down to the knees or right down to the mat, forehead on stacked palms. If you're still here with me, do one more hip dip to each side. And then lower the knees, lower the forehead to the stacked palms, the elbows come out to the side. Take a nice breath there. And then sliding those palms out from underneath the forehead, extend the arms straight out with the palms down and the thumbs pointing up. And then from here, inhale, lift those arms up, and then slide them back so that they're still lifted off the mat, but fingertips are pointing down toward your feet. Lift those arms up, up, up. Forehead, torso, legs still on the mat. Stay with the arms lifted. Really squeeze those shoulder blades and pull the shoulders down and away from the ears. Stay with this. Option to add in the head, rib cage, and legs into a full Salambhasana, locust pose. So if you want to, lifting up through the rib cage, head, and legs again. Arms in this different position this time. So reaching back with those arms and lifting up at the same time. 3 more breaths here. 2 more breaths. Last one. Release down. Return those palms to stacked underneath the forehead and rock from side to side with those hips. Nice work. So just a reminder that when we strengthen that posterior chain, so all the back muscles and the fascia that connect them, we really allow the front of the body to release. So front of the shoulders, chest, front of the hips. Pretty sweet. Okay, let's lift the head up a little bit. Slide the hands back, take an inhale. Exhale to lift yourself up and press back to child's pose. Big toes touch, knees go wide. Pull the navel toward the spine as you release into that child's pose. Option 2, use your rolled up blanket or cushion for your forehead, or block for your forehead, stacked fist for your forehead, and use the cushion or rolled up blanket between the hips and the heels. So what we're going for here is that the hips feel a connection to the earth, and that the forehead also feels that connection to the earth. Once you're here, 5 nice slow breaths. Visualize every exhalation as an opportunity to relax the body even more deeply into this Balasana, child's pose. This child's pose is considered a restorative pose, but the truth is that it's not really restorative for our body if our head is hanging in space or if our hips haven't touched down to something. So consider that, and have a cushion or a blanket that's large enough to connect hips to feet, hips to heels, and checking in that your forehead is resting on something. One more full deep breath. Slowly walking yourself up, coming to a kneeling position, just briefly. And then we'll shift our hips off the heels, come around to a seated position. Swing the legs out in front. Before we go supine, let's get a couple of blocks ready. So first of all, one block by your right hip, and the other block up at about the height of your shoulder, where it will be when you're lying down on the mat, and maybe just a little bit away from the mat. So those 2 blocks kind of staggered on a small diagonal there. And then make your way all the way onto your back. Walk the shoulders down and away from the ears, crown of the head, reaching out to that space behind you. Extend the right leg straight out on the mat. Hug the left one in. Place your hands behind the hamstring group so that the knee just flexes in a way that's really comfortable. Then release that pulling in. Use your right hand to the outside edge of that left thigh and pull that whole bent leg all the way over to land on that block. And it can be whatever height you want. You might have to shift the right hip toward the left side of the mat to get that bent leg to land on your block. Once it has a nice firm place on that block, so you know it's really grounded there, then that left arm comes across to rest on your block that has been set up near your shoulder there. If your hand comes right to the mat, great, just move the block out of the way. But for many people, having the block there and maybe even shifting the height of that block allows that arm to find a resting place. So again, all of these poses really, when we're going for this nice stretch, we want to be supported by the earth. So that left leg on the block, the left arm on a block, the right arm can be on the floor. And if you want to, turn the head away from that left knee. So turning the head to the left. And then maybe close the eyes and just feel how that body is fully supported in this nice universal twist. You may find after a few breaths that you could lower the height of those blocks. So you might be able to bring that leg, if you're on the highest height of the block, it might ease into the mid block height now. Not necessary, but just something to notice in the body if all it took was a few breaths for you to settle in to a slightly deeper twist. Couple more breaths here. Fully supported in this twist by your blocks and the floor. And then unwinding, coming back to center. If you had to shift your hip over to the left, you could put your left foot down on the mat and push into the floor to shimmy your pelvis and your hips back to the center of the mat. And now bend that right leg so the soles of both feet are on the mat, and shift your blocks around now. So the block on the left side that was up by the shoulder is down by that left hip, and the other block is up by your right shoulder. We have to do the other side. So straightening out that left leg this time, hugging in the right knee, give it a good little hug in, hands behind the hamstring, so behind the upper leg there, just to let the knee flex in a way that's comfortable. And then release a little bit and bring with your left hand that right leg all the way over to that block. Remember, it could be the highest height. You will very likely have to shift that left hip over a little bit toward the right side of your mat so that you can rest that bent leg on that block. Check in that you really feel grounded there. It's stable. It's connected to that block. And then once it is, take that right arm all the way back to rest on that block that's up by that right shoulder. And you might have to move that block a little bit. And again, you might need to play around with the block height. Once you feel that connection between the blocks in your body, you could extend that left arm out and turn the head away from that right knee. So turn your head to the right. And then just take a moment to check in here. Are the blocks fully supporting your limbs? If not, feel free to shift around a little bit. After a few breaths, you might find that you can actually change the height of those blocks to just get a little more twist, but always checking in that you're still supported. And you may notice a difference from one side to the other. If you feel that you have greater range of motion on one side over another, it's really helpful to come back to the side that has less range of motion and do a little longer twist there. Stay with the breath. Two more full deep breaths. My stomach is rumbling. Can you hear that? That so often happens when we go supine. I don't know if anybody else has noticed that. It's really common in the body. All right, let's inhale and unwind from that. Again, you might find the hips, if you shifted them over, lay that right foot down on the mat, push into the mat to lift the hips up, and then bring the arms down alongside the body. Turn the palms facing up, shift the head so the crown of the head reaches the space behind you, and then extend both legs out into Shavasana. Eyes are closed. Take a moment in this Shavasana to just experience your body. Nice open shoulders and hips. And then as you lie in this Shavasana, invite a heaviness into the whole body. And with that heaviness, finding a stillness in the whole body. Stillness in the body allows for stillness in the mind and allows the whole body and mind to completely relax. In this heaviness and stillness, bring your awareness to Chitta-Kasha, the space behind the closed eyes. Take a moment to be the witness to anything you may see there. And then return to the intention you set at the beginning of the practice, repeating it to yourself mentally 3 times. If you can visualize it, you can create it. Bringing your awareness back to your breath by deepening it. Expand through the belly, the side body, the rib cage. Perhaps invite an audible sigh into that exhale. With awareness of the body, start to invite movement in whatever way feels best for you right now. And then link breath to body with a nice big stretch, even stretching fingers, toes. Exhaling, bend the knees, roll to one side, let the head rest on that arm. Take a full deep breath as you rest in that fetal position. And then press yourself up to a seated position as you are ready. Let the hands rest with the palms up. And just take another moment to close the eyes and visualize an abundance of ease. Ease pouring into those open palms. Ease spreading to every cell in the body. Sealing the practice by bringing the hands to the heart center and bowing inward. Namaste. Thank you for joining me for this practice. We did go a little overtime today. Apologies for that. I do like to be timely. I guess there was something about that twisting that just drew me in. Here we go. Goddess check-in. Dana, High Priestess, you have divine knowledge that can help others through your spiritual teaching. Go for it. Spread the yoga love and the walking love.